Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back, everybody. Hi.
So, in case you haven't ever checked out our website, please do. Again, evolutionaryenergyarts.com, just so you guys could, get a better feel for us. We're going to be updating it when time allows because we've been doing so much prepping just like everybody else.
Yes, we are definitely getting busy like you guys are. If you're listening, I'm pretty sure you're getting ready too.
Most definitely. And we are still finding so many people that are, even contemplating moves to different places. As we've been talking about, it's more than go time, without a doubt. And so, make sure that you can survive just, as best as you can, living on your own. At least 3 to 6 months is what the guides had said. Although we're shooting for theoretically a couple years, maybe even getting past that whole big hump that we view as, 2024, 2025 is, it's going to be something.
It is going to be very interesting, and the feel from the guides is, it's a somber one because they understand that people are going to be having a difficult time. It's not going to be easy, but it's necessary to bring about change. Times are changing, the vibration is changing. So, sometimes things might seem forced when really it's just the way things need to go to change our destinies or change the way things are going to be dealt with on a daily basis.
Yeah, and we're getting stronger. Yeah, we're getting far stronger in our ability to manifest a positive outcome. And again, it's all about waking up as many and getting everybody unified as much as possible. Obviously, it's a long, hard road to unify this globe, but believe it or not, we are pushing in that direction, even though the darkness appears to be perhaps winning. This is still early in the war. This is a marathon. This is what we've been talking about. And, we know there are those that say, the white hats are around the corner. It's already done. Prosperity, everything is coming right back right away. The message we got from the guides is more of a be prepared, buckle up, put on your big boy pants,
just
type of thing.
Big boy, big girl pants.
Yeah, big boy, big girl pants.
Yep.
Because the next few years is going to be the real tough part. And we are going to turn that corner and things are going to get better. And as we've shared too, with those of you that have been with us for a while, we see a time when everything is going in the right direction. It will get to that point. And this earth is not destined for absolute destruction. And I don't really think that when we see these scenes from movies, of everything being completely destroyed, we've never gotten that from the guides. No. Again, there's a lot of drama out there, and a lot of it is part of the script, which is all about getting us to help to manifest these negative outcomes. So we do want to thank our Patreons.
We do. We want to say a very huge thank you to John and Miss Monica. You guys really, I don't think you know how much we appreciate your support, but we do. Every little bit counts. And anybody else, if you want to support us at all, just please hit that thumbs up. It does help a lot with the algorithms.
Yeah, make sure you are still subscribed.
Yes.
So we see this headline, number 46, JB should worry. The fine diningware country has a plan to invade Taiwan. And it gets into some of the details, which includes a little bit of a siege of sorts, taking over some of the islands around Taiwan itself and using ballistic missiles at certain defensive targets. We hope this scenario doesn't play out, but it certainly feels like this is something that's impending. Mm-hmm. And when we ask the guides, because we're going to focus on actually a lot of news coming from Europe, the first thing that they brought up, because we asked them, what's it look like as far as the potential out there for WAR on a grand scale? This was the first thing they mentioned again. Watch Taiwan, so be very, aware of it. If we go back and again mention that back in 2005, top level general from the fine diningware country said that they didn't need 20 aircraft carriers. That wasn't part of their plan. They knew that there was going to be conflict with the West. The U.S. and them were at some point in time going to bang heads. And obviously that would mean most likely NATO as well. And so what they would do is have covert warfare going on first. And they actually, he said the first wave would be BIO. BIO, logical. Hello. Look at what we have, going on out there. And, when we see everything that's going on, as you see this, and, oh man, now I'm forgetting who sent me the link on this. Mitch. Thanks, Mitch.
Thanks, Mitch.
Thanks, Mitch. Blitz at sea, boats burn, crews escape, sanctions, illegal fishing off of, basically this is the Western Australia coast. It's been skyrocketing. Well, the president for life over there in the fine dining ware country, the fishermen have been saying, that our fishing grounds are basically used up, so to speak. So he urged them to go farther and farther. Go where you got to go. Go get the fish. Bring it back to the homeland, And so we've even seen them off the coast of Ecuador, all the way over South America. And many of these fishing boats, quote unquote, are militarized. They are militarized. This is part of it. Not all, but many are militarized. And there's tons of them. And here, actually, Australian authorities actually sank over 100. I think it was like 111 just recently. And you could see, photos here. They're burning these illegal fishing vessels. Some of them were from not just the fine dining ware country, but also Indonesia, who was at odds and was strongly tied to the U.S., but in just really recent times, it seems like Indonesia and China are getting along better. They've had even the prospects of having open conflict between them just a few years ago, but there seems to be some agreements in place. And so in this case, off the coast of Australia, you have over 100 ships that were burned for illegal fishing. Again, food. Our good friend David Devine, that's what he's been harping on, is it will, in these times, and that's David at Adapt 2030, who we're going to be doing another show with that's going to go up on his channel maybe within a week or two. It's all about controlling resources. And when the people get hungry, they'll overthrow governments. And that's just a historical fact. And, that's also when governments go to war against other governments. And whether or not, which we obviously believe that, there's controllers that have their puppet strings on all these heads of states. It's still, we've seen these other grand conflagrations already, twice in the past 100 and something years, World War I and World War II. So it can happen again, and we need to, again, try to stop it before it happens, and it feels like it's creeping up on us. As we look at Britain deploying troops to the Belarus border, this area is very, very much, it's starting to feel like this could be the tinder keg. Our friend Peter in Poland. Hey,
Hi,
Peter,
Peter.
again. He talked about, he said, he knew another psychic that was getting visions of what was to come, and it didn't look good for Poland.
Right. That's something, when you get more and more psychics that come together with the same visions, then you really want to keep an eye on that for sure.
And Cindy, reached out and checked with the guides on him, and they say he's the real deal.
He is. He's very, very good at what he does.
Do you remember his name?
I don't remember his name. I just remember his energy, and it's very serious, and it's very straightforward.
But yeah, definitely, this is a powder keg right here. Poland has announced struck a deal with the UK, calling in British troops to help with the construction of a fortified border wall along its eastern frontier with Belarus, as a row over A row over illegal migration escalates. On Friday, the Polish defense minister issued a statement confirming that the two NATO member states would work together in an effort to prevent migrants from crossing over. And as we said, I mean, I was watching film and I saw just one single lady in the background. Every other guy that was up there at the fence was a guy, and they all looked to be between the ages of 18 and 40, I would say. Most definitely, it hit me as a military group.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And here we see clash in the skies. Britain intercepts Putin's nuke bombers over North Sea, sends troops to Russia's doorstep as the Ukraine tensions are erupting. And we've had so many of these on both sides, with opposing military jets going into airspace and then being escorted out. Russia, by the way, sends paratroopers to Belarus. So you have the UK sending, military support, and over on the one side of the border, and you got Russia sending paratroopers into Belarus on the other side of the border. This is not a good situation.
No, it's definitely not. It's something that feels very somber and very dark.
So they have another exercise going on. They just got done with a huge exercise. It's like constant exercises. Constant exercises, perhaps, covert war already underway.
Mm-hmm.
The Belarusian military said the exercise aims to test the readiness of the Allies amid an increase of military activities near the border. Yes, things are getting testy.
Oh, for sure. That's a good one. It's cute. Yes. Adorable.
Thank you.
Yes.
Pentagon says it doesn't assess Russia's troop movements as a plan to invade Ukraine in coming days. So there's a little bit of a statement to try to de-escalate things a little bit, but here we see Lavrov saying that Russia vows asymmetrical response to unfriendly Western actions. And I think I read something where that psychic said that, and I might be wrong, because I've read a lot lately about this whole area, but that Russia doesn't really have or didn't have the intentions, but that something could be triggered. Again, misunderstandings or just simply accidents. One itchy finger, one nervous soldier can cause havoc.
Yeah, a little twitch, a little wrong word, just somebody's mood shifts. Yeah.
Yeah, so we reaffirm our intention to continue to show an exceptionally restrained approach, not to create problems artificially, but we will, of course, react to the unfriendly steps that the West is taking. We will act in a reciprocal manner and, if necessary, also asymmetrically. So, that is something that might raise a few eyebrows. And over here we see France warning Russia over the Ukraine. And again, Moscow saying, we're not planning on going in. Yet they are perturbed over the militarization of Svalbard archipelago following Norwegian warship visit. Now, this is an area near the border with Russia. There was a treaty back in 1920 which recognizes Norway's sovereignty over this Arctic archipelago, but it's supposed to be defined as demilitarized, just to be used for peaceful use, recreational use only, right? Well, yeah, there was a military vessel there, so this is causing a little consternation there. And then we have Belarus threatening to choke off the EU gas supply over the border dispute. Now, that could get hot and testy for sure if that does happen. And just think about that happening when winter sets in. I mean, winter is serious over in these areas. Winter over here right now, maybe we have to endure a 50-degree high temperature.
Yeah,
that's not too bad. No. A couple of nights getting under freezing, not a big deal. But when you're talking, temperatures that can kill you, and then threatening to choke off the gas supply, yeah, that could be something that could definitely drive countries towards war.
I would think so, for sure.
Yes, most definitely. And again, It's all about the leadership. The leadership of these countries has entirely too much power which often, very, very often, goes totally against the will of the people. But it doesn't seem to matter, at least to the leadership, because they do what they want to do anyway.
Well, it doesn't affect them, so they don't mind one bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, we could go to all the quote-unquote draft dodgers, from past presidents and the like. It's just the same as going back to feudal times, where two kings would be at war with each other, and sometimes, they would just, come to an agreement and be good friends and start to drink and party again as normal, intermarry. I'll send my daughter that way. You marry your son to my daughter. Everything's fine. The army's made up of the peasants. The peasants are the ones that get killed, and the peasants are the ones that are starving for just a few crumbs.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, the aristocracy, they're still pretty fat.
Yeah.
And
They're doing
they're
good.
living high on the hog.
Mm-hmm.
So again, yeah, and then we'll start another war. This is where the actual pawns need to wake up and stop being pawns. And Norwegian underseas. Now, this is something to really look at too, as we were just talking about this area. Norwegian undersea surveillance network had its cables mysteriously cut. Now, for those of you that have done any research and what happened in World War II, I mean, this thing happens all the time. All the time. This is part of that covert style warfare that goes on. The Seafloor Ocean Observatory off the coast of northern Norway can detect submarine traffic, which could make it prime target for the Russians again. And when you think about the lack of vision, to see how we are all here. We should be operating in a symbiotic relationship. If we're talking a 5D existence, the beings there understand that. They just understand that. Meanwhile, here, the leadership of the planet, they all basically act like cancers.
No, they do.
Nasty viruses.
Right. In the higher dimensions, they help each other. There's not all this competition like, oh, I look better than you and I have this and you don't, and wow, look at me. It's not, it's about looking at the other person, seeing what you can do to help and helping things stay in balance.
Yes, and that's what we get with the guides. It's, again, we've done mantras and calling out for a particular deity. When we say deity, we just really mean these more benevolent beings. We've made them into gods. They're beings. What exactly is a god, right? It's just a being that is sort of closer to source, maybe more knowledge, maybe been through many, many more lifetimes, maybe thousands or hundreds of thousands more lifetimes than we have. Just a greater understanding of the universe, the multiverse, really, and how everything works. Because again, our entire universe is just a cell in something bigger. They just have more understanding, more knowledge, and perhaps are able to utilize their abilities to a higher degree than we do. Like, we're just, in many cases, just potential waiting to happen.
Yeah.
And, just waiting to be guided to utilize our potential for good. So, we'll call for one and somebody else will show up. And that's because that other person, that other being, might have a better grasp on a particular situation. So if we're doing healing work on somebody, we might be expecting Yeshua to show up, but it might be somebody else. It could be Aset, who most know as Isis, or Lakshmi, or it could be White Buffalo Calf Woman, or it could be Kuan Yin that shows up, or it could be somebody that they're connected to, maybe that we don't even deal with on a regular basis, that shows up all of a sudden out of the blue. It's because they all work together. They're not working against each other. That's the small human concept of reality, which is not really accurate. And this is basically, more people are just wondering aloud about this. Would America survive a civil war? The U.S. Army could not withstand an insurgency. Well, you know, I think a lot of people are wondering, what's going to happen here? Obviously, the country is so fractionated. And we've talked about, sometimes it's a good idea to get a divorce. Sometimes there's irreconcilable differences. You're just not going to mend the relationship. And there's more growth that's potentially there if you're not pulling each other down, so to speak. So the left and the right in the country, obviously, totally divergent ways of looking at things. Mm-hmm. And, it's pretty obvious that this is not going to end in a reconciliation at this point. Everything has to be broken down so it can be restructured. But again, the restructuring that's to come, it doesn't look anything like what we have seen, because the system that we have in place is not one that's really geared towards everybody.
No, not at all. It's geared toward an agenda.
So, if you're going to call it a civil war, you might call it a revolution, or you might just call it a mess.
Right. I think it's a pretty big mess, personally.
But more people are just looking at that, and they were talking also about the technology that's out there, going beyond the troops. And again, there's going to be a lot of people that if something does happen, I think for sure you would see a lot of National Guard. Say if something happened with Texas being one of the most likely states to secede, and I do think that once one does, you'll see just a whole bunch go. You would see, I think, a lot of soldiers wanting to and just leaving. We just lost thousands and thousands of people in the armed services because of these dates for men. Mm-hmm. How much more so do you think, that people stationed, say, somewhere like maybe stationed in California, and yet something goes on with Texas or Florida and they leave the Union? Do you think they're going to stay stationed in the United States, Navy in San Diego, or you think they're going to just hightail it out? And how's that going to look? And would they be able? It's going to be
a mess.
Yes. Yeah, there's no other word for it. Maybe you guys want to name what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
And we see Governor Tony Evers puts 500 Wisconsin National Guard troops on standby for the verdict, the Rittenhouse verdict. Again, chaos expected at all turns is what we're seeing. And here we see a CEO saying that they are challenging the dates for men to protect their workers' jobs. And this gets into what's going on with this one company out of Shelby, Ohio. And, this is a manufacturing company. And, it's a 54-year-old company. And, most of the people haven't done that thing that would bring them into compliance. And they have no intention either. So it would just destroy the company, basically. So they're not going to go along with it. So, that's going to be a case again of what's that going to look like then? So you get fined. What if you don't pay the fines? What's going to happen? Who are they going to send? And then if we're talking about things like that happening in these states that the governors are opposed, what's that going to look like? It's just, there's so much of this buildup to, open conflict that we could see at every turn. Here you see Texas schools can require masks after the federal judge overturned the governor's ban. Now, can't we see the writing on the wall here? It's going to come to a head. What do you think that's going to look like? Mm-hmm. Tell us what you think is going to come down. As we see a record number of Americans quit their jobs in September, and God bless all those that are able to get out of the system as much as possible. let's hope there's a whole bunch of entrepreneurs out there, people homeschooling their kids, people, starting to build their little communities, building their networks, even if you're not, coming together in a communal setting, creating a community within a community just by reaching out to others that are like-minded. And, more and more people are leaving. And, when you look at it, where are some of these jobs that people are just leaving? Well, healthcare is one of the top ones. I wonder why. Healthcare is just one. Also, we've seen a lot in law enforcement and other areas as well. And then what are they going to do? What are they going to do to replace all these people? They're hiring robots.
Ah, of course. There you go.
This is part of the automation that's going on. And, can you not see eventually like a RoboCop situation that you're going to have drones over our heads watching our every move? Somebody breaks the law, you're going to see, a robot showing up. Maybe it's going to be one of those robot dogs, but like the big ones that we saw that were the size of a tank in Vegas. It's very much Matrix Terminator Matrix.
Yeah, it's definitely a time for energies that need and want to separate. So this is our time.
And this is what we've also gotten the vision from the guides that they see. They really do see a major separation. And it may be as simple as many people, as we know, a lot of people have been moving to the countryside, moving into more rural situations to get homesteading off grid, living a simpler life where, they're just trying to have a piece of land, have everything paid off. So, there's not going to be outside interference as much. And then you have this other force that's going to want to herd everybody into these mega cities where everything could be really monitored very, very closely. Two completely different, systems that are being developed in the planet as we speak.
Yes, they are.
And we see $300 oil. Frankly, it could go much higher. Man, what's that going to look like?
Well, that'll look really, really scary, actually, because, I mean, you need all that to transport everything and everyone. So I don't like the looks of that.
Well, no, and we also it wasn't too long ago, we were talking about how low can it go? And boy, what a glut there is of it. But you see this complete symphony of destruction, as we've been calling it, that has been just masterfully orchestrated. It just boggles the mind how some can't see what's really going on. Entrepreneur who flew to space with William Shatner, yes, on Blue Origin, dies in plane crash. And this guy was actually a pilot. His name was DeVries, and I didn't do too much research, but I remember seeing him mentioned somewhere not too long ago. So he's the co-founder of Medidata Solutions, top-rated clinical research platform that has handled over 25,000 clinical trials involving 7 million patients. Being the ever suspicious person that I am, something feels off. I've been meaning to ask Cindy, but we've just been so busy with people all day. If the guides say anything, and Medidata, you see here, founded out of New York City. Revenue $636 million back in 2018. 2,800 employees. Something feels curious there. There feels something off.
Yeah, well, I have to be a little bit calm, and when I'm doing videos, I'm just sort of I'm too hyper.
You're too hyper. Well, we'll let you know when she's able to get into the state to contact the guides on this one. But I feel like there's something there. By the way, basically about half of California is in a major statewide crisis and drought emergency. 19 million people under drought emergency in Southern California, basically half of the entire population of the state. So, the drought keeps on going. And yeah, this was one of the things that we were thinking about when we were out in the West, though honestly, the reason why we left New Mexico was geopolitical. That really was it. We just felt very uncomfortable with what we were witnessing out there. And here you see U.S. winter storm alert, extreme blizzards sweep across Midwest with high winds, deep snow, and power outages. Schools canceled, no electricity in Manitoba, Canada. We were just talking about China and theirs. And again, there are many, Ice Age Farmer, DAP 2030, and many others that believe, we're in for solidly colder weather, the beginning of another mini ice age. And, eventually it's just going to continue to get that way. So you have to think about grow zones. And I go back to looking at the purchases of one Gil Bates.
Yes.
And when I saw the fact that, he bought the most farmland in Louisiana, that was curious to me. Because, here Louisiana had so many hurricanes hit it. I don't know how many impacts it had last year. Was it like 10? Between all the tropical storms and everything. Now this year wasn't so bad,
so
thankfully.
Quiet. Yeah.
But there's technology out there, and you have tons of people that have left, coastal Louisiana, for instance. And there's some real opportunities there if you're going to roll a dice on trying to fix up something that was wiped out in a hurricane. You might get wiped out next year again. But if it does get consistently colder, those hurricanes are eventually going to really pretty much slow down or stop.
Right.
And things are going to change. And when we look back to the last ice age, the only place you had a chance at growing anything crop-wise without using, the technology of having greenhouses going constantly was basically Florida and right along the coastline in, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and then down into southern part of Texas as well. There's very little area. Canada goes totally offline. And of course, most of the North goes offline as well, as far as going into the ice age itself. So, what do these guys know? Well, they know more than we do.
Of course, right. They know a lot more than we do because they have all the records and written everything to play this game. It's a little unfair, but Mother Nature, she's bringing out her equalizer. We're gonna evolve, and we're gonna be okay.
Yeah, I saw an article on Zero Hedge one time, not too long ago. It was saying that some savvy investors, what do? They just do whatever Nancy Pelosi does because somehow she has a perfect track record.
Yep. Brilliant.
Wasn't there something about insider knowledge, insider trading?
She would never do that. No, she's just charming.
Yeah. UFOs buzzing U.S. warships may be aliens. So says America's top spy chief. And this was the second statement by officials in a short time. Director of National Intelligence, Avril Haines. And, that's interesting because, they're putting it right out there. Yeah, there's stuff out there. We don't know what it is. Yeah, it could be extraterrestrials. Of course. Of course, those that are really in the know that they've always been here. Always. Before Homo sapiens sapiens were here. They were here. And by the way, did you know that the moon has enough oxygen for 8 billion people? So we could all move up to the moon. I mean, how long ago did we realize that the moon is actually in Earth's atmosphere?
I know. They have to rewrite all those science books.
Yeah, I mean, that was something we weren't taught in the 60s and 70s and 80s. And actually, we weren't having given this public knowledge until just like a year ago or two now, and all of a sudden, oh, by the way, the moon's inside the Earth's atmosphere. And Sassy is
excited about it too.
She is.
About the truth.
Because she says, wait a minute, that means the Draco are even closer to us.
Oh, yeah, and she's guarding.
On their moon bases.
Yes, thank goodness for Sass.
Well, the oxygen is locked up just below the surface, but The good news is there's technology right now to extract it. It just would be a matter of probably massive solar panels up on the moon itself. But where there's a will, there's a way. But of course, what would you find if you're drilling down inside the moon? Remember when I forget which astronaut it was when they landed on it? They said it rang like a bell, it's hollow
for like 30 minutes too.
Well, I mean, Cindy's remote viewed it and seen that it's most definitely hollowed out. It was a natural body. It's not natural to Earth.
Yeah.
It was brought here. That's plain and simple. It was placed here. And it's interesting because there's legends, not just legends from Sumeria, but from other places that say it was placed here. There was an African tribe that say it was brought here by two brothers. Two brothers that were always at war with each other brought the moon here. Boy, that sounds familiar.
It does. It sounds like these two brothers keep showing up over and over in different stories.
Enlil and Enki.
Yeah.
Yes, those guys. Meanwhile, they're vacationing at Club Med.
They are. They're having a good time now.
They are. Yeah, they're just chilling. So, guys, as always, stay prepared. It's definitely, we are in the thick of things. And again, thank you for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon and also Medicinal Foods. There's a link at the top of every video that could take you there. Use the coupon code EEA and get a discount. It does help support the channel as well. There is also a link there to something that we have been using and for like about a month. And it's a technology that we feel is very beneficial, and we've had recommendations from the guides and also from two of our doctor friends about it. But we're waiting for a doctor friend to hopefully have time to schedule so we could actually make a video about it and let you guys know about it. Interesting technology, and that link is right underneath the Medicinal Foods one. And so we are an affiliate with them too, because we feel it's something that could really help people in these times.
Well, we want to be healthy from the inside out, and being clean and have your body just have all those yucky things be able to be removed from that really, really helps a lot for evolution.
Yeah, we just wanted also to give it a go ourselves for a long enough period of time so we could tell you what we have experienced. As always, God bless and namaste.
Namaste.